China is revving up its bid for World Trade Organization market economy status despite international criticism that the country has backed away from difficult economic reforms. So James, do you think China's in a strong position for this status?
China has a credible and important case to make for being part of the first tier of the global community because it has been the principal engine for economic growth in recent years, and it is now the world's second largest economy.
Well, of course, as you said, China is one of the world's leading economies, but it is quite separated from the freer reign for market forces that the country actually championed. I'm of course thinking of the renminbi devaluation and of course the stock market bailout. So how seriously do you think the World Trade Organization are taking China?
Oh, I think the World Trade Organization takes China exceptionally seriously, and I do think that the Chinese authorities are deeply competent. I worry, however, that the flow of information from China on exactly what is going on in industrial production has essentially ceased. I see no quality data in the current calendar year tell me where we are in that industrial production cycle. Now, I can understand that because China has been criticised and does not now want to release data where it leaves itself open to fierce and more criticism.
But figures coming out of China aren't exactly positive, what we're hearing in the news, so why are they pushing for this now?
I think that China recognises that it has to be part of a global community that understands how to achieve sustainable, balanced growth. Now, we do know that a large chunk of the quantitative easing efforts of the United States and Europe ended up creating a vast credit bubble in China, which then led to overinvestment and overproduction with massive inventory overhang and therefore considerable deflationary impetus. And therefore, to assume that we don't have to include China in debates about the way forward for the global economy is a huge error.
What are the benefits of World Trade Organization market economy status?
It is the capacity to sit at the top table, to talk about the importance of free trade, how trade is to be regulated, and how the common interests of the global economy are to be furthered.
Well, of course, many people do attribute today's market turmoil to China, yet the Chinese premier actually said it's down to the 2008 financial crisis. What do you think of this blame game?
All parties are partially right. So let's be clear, the global financial crisis was the root cause of most of the problems that we would observe today. The global financial crisis, after all, was built on an imbalance between China and America, where China wanted to overspend, it wanted to overconsume, it wanted to underproduce relative to its own needs, and it fitted China's agenda that was therefore able to export capital to allow people to buy goods and services they couldn't otherwise afford that could then be produced and exported from China. So for years leading up to the global financial crisis, there was a comfortable arrangement between these parties where everybody thought that they had benefited. Of course, when you blow off the lid about this rising indebtedness, then there is something for everybody to pay. China has to cope with overall slower growth. It was an export-driven pattern of delivery that ultimately does have to be taken back into a domestic context. That process of change is going to be extremely hard to achieve.
So everything is interlinked. So if China did get this status, what would that mean for the US and the EU?
Well, it would mean that we could all sit down and talk more reasonably about the preferred way forward, because at the moment I would suggest that we have sectional interests that pursue an objective. So if I were to think about Mr. Draghi's great speech about Europe getting back on track, actually he whistles in the wind unless we have a vibrant global economy.
Thanks for watching. For more videos from the Voice of the Market, please subscribe.